Group. Got it. Here at Carleton. So Eduardo Bailetti is actually, Eduardo, I should really let you introduce yourself. I can either read your bio or let you introduce yourself.
I'll read the bio. Let me hear how it sounds.
Okay, let's see what we ended up pulling together. Trusted advisor for company managers who are attempting to do new things. He enjoys supporting people to learn what they need to know to make good decisions, and enjoys providing high quality feedback on strategy and positioning. So since 2018, Eduardo has co-created multiple global cross-border entrepreneurship programs and has advised hundreds of new company founders. And he's impacted the mindset of many thousands of people seeking to expand their entrepreneurial competencies. So at Carleton University here in Ottawa, he teaches and has the role of business development officer at the master's program called Technology Innovation Management Program. So we're actually both graduates of that program. In addition to teaching core courses on technology entrepreneurship, he also advises new student-led startups as they transition from concept to reality. So outside of Carleton, he's the president and co-founder of Scale Camp Corp. It's a company which specializes entrepreneurship education programs with an emphasis on cross-border and digital entrepreneurs, and offers consulting services for entrepreneurs who wish to get ahead more quickly. So he has a BA in economics and a master of entrepreneurship from Tim, both from Carleton. So I am leaving you in very good hands. I'm not going anywhere. I'm just handing you over to Eduardo, who is one of the folks that we get to change the lives of the students that we have here at Carleton. So Eduardo, the floor is yours.
John, I couldn't have said it better. Thank you so much. All right, guys, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Eduardo. I am based in Ottawa, and I have put together just for you a lovely presentation. So I hope you enjoy it, and I hope I can get through it, because we have an hour and a half together. I know John wants to do some Q&A, and I have a bit of an activity that is scheduled at the very end. Called it a Scaling Mindset for Rapid Business Growth. I have taken a look at all of your profiles and what you are working on. So I'll try to adapt what I say to what you're working on, but you know, stop me at any point in time. I'll make sure to have the chat open actually here, so that you can signal me and just raise your hand or just start yelling or something like that, and you can stop me with that. So today, what I want to do is I want to achieve these learning outcomes. I want to make sure that you're able to differentiate between growing and scaling. So when you're talking to people, you use the right words, that you can adopt company value as sort of your guiding star for when you're making decisions about your business, that you can prioritize scale growth in your organization, whether you're a small, a single proprietor, like a small consultant, or you've got a partnership, or you're intending to grow. You're always going to be prioritizing scale growth. Know what drives value, and know how AI is going to introduce a paradigm shift. And so that's an important thing. It's just a side note that I wanted to add. And then how ChatGPT can actually help you shape ideas and get a little bit of feedback on your own work. So big thing, lots to do. Let's get straight into it. So I got 3 sections. And so the first one I wanted to talk to you about is sort of give you a conceptual framework for where I come from in terms of how I'm explaining this. And it comes from a theoretical perspective called the resource-based view of entrepreneurship. And the whole idea is very simple. Basically, you need resources, which are people, assets, your processes and your priorities that you have. You need to be able to get these resources to work with you. So people have those resources. They've got factories, they've got talent, and you need to attract them to work with you. And once you have these resources and people, you can combine them in different ways. You can kind of assemble them and deploy them in a way that's going to create more value than they are individually. So you combine all these different groups of people, teams of people, and technologies like your laptop, for instance, and different stacks of technology you can find in the cloud. and you deploy those to create significant value that you're able to then capture inside your company. You're going to capture some of that value, but obviously you have to give value back to the people who own those resources. And so you have to distribute that value to your customers, to your investors, to your partners, to your employees. And you have to continuously do that over and over and over and over and over again. So how you perform, how well you do that is going to be critical for your success. So I come from the school of thought that you think about the resources you have and then be able to combine them in creative ways to be able to create value that you wouldn't be able to otherwise. You're going to hear me talk about value a lot today as well, and your company value is very important. I don't know how much I actually have in terms of explaining why it's important, but I'm sure all of you can understand your value of your company value is a product of how much each of your shares are worth and times the number of shares that you own in the company. So if you have a partner and you own 70%, they own 30%, then the amount that each share is worth is very important to you. So as you go through time, you have to take steps to be able to increase the value of your company. How much do you own is very important, because you're going to want to be able to increase the value. If you ever wanted to sell it, if you ever wanted to get a strategic partner, a large organization that's going to work with you, and they're saying, okay, we're going to buy 25% of your company. How much is that actually going to be worth? And so if you're going to get a loan from a bank or whatever. So you want to be able to continuously increase the value of each of your shares of the, that you own in this company. Now, when we're talking about growing and we're talking about scaling, one of the things that I notice a lot for people who don't actually know the difference is that they use them interchangeably. They say, I'm going to grow and scale. And it's kind of like, yeah, sure, but do you even know what you're saying? So when you walk into a room, you're walking into a boardroom, whether it be a potential partner, a potential co-founder, or a bank, or whoever it is, make sure that you're using growing and scaling appropriately. So for this sort of note, I want to make sure that you say, I'm going to define it for you in just a moment, but to scale, a company needs to definitely grow. So scaling is a type of growth. But to grow, a company doesn't necessarily need to scale. And it's in the definition, and I'm going to visualize it for you in a second. So again, let me give you the definition of what scaling is. Again, scaling is a special type of growth. Scaling is the significant improvement of a particular venture's performance indicator. You get to choose which one. You can scale all sorts of different types of performance indicators between two particular time periods while maintaining operating costs or quality as the same or marginally higher. So what does that really mean? Let's visualize it. You're going to choose a performance indicator, whether it be company value or your profitability or whatever it may be. And you're going to say, I'm going to increase, or sorry, revenue, for instance, I'm going to scale my revenue. Fantastic. If you're just going to grow your revenue, you can ignore the red line. The red line is very important, though. The red line is going to determine whether you're scaling or not. Because as you notice for the green and the red line, hopefully none of you are colorblind. If anybody, my father's colorblind, so I always have to worry about this slide. The top line is the performance indicator, and the bottom line is the cost. You see that the space, the gap between those two is increasing. When you're dealing with growing, you only worry about the top line. When you're dealing with scaling, it's relative. Scaling is about growing the performance indicator and having a sort of a parabolic growth, but you have it in relation to your cost. So if I'm growing, but my costs are increasing at a more rapid rate than my revenue, then you're eventually going to go out of business. So if you're only focused on growth, you can not necessarily always create a risk for your business. So when you're scaling, it allows you to keep a little bit more perspective. So basically, I can be able to onboard as way more customers if I can scale, because I'm going to keep my costs flat, and I'm going to be able to grow the number of customers I can service pretty much exponentially. So that's something that technology and software are really helpful for doing. So that's the difference between growing and scaling. Growing is only about the top line. Scaling is about the top and the bottom line. And we've got this fancy little definition here as well. Okay, well, why do you have to worry about scaling? Well, for you personally, you get to, if you scale, you're going to increase your wealth faster. You're going to learn how to handle new challenges, much better, more interesting challenges. You're going to be able to create significant advantages for your company, and you'll be able to strengthen the entire ecosystem, the value, your network of partners that you're going to be working with. If you are able to scale, you're going to be able to strengthen the entire system that you're a part of. And then your company, it increases its performance. It's able to expand into new markets. You're able to develop products that are more innovative and solve better problems or solve problems for your customers in a much more valuable way. You'll be able to grow the amount of legitimacy. Credibility is sort of the other way you can describe legitimacy, but you're going to attain legitimacy in the eyes of others. And then, in the society, you'll be able to create jobs. You'll be able to create money for the government, as much as we love to be taxed, and be able to strengthen your local economy. So here's the thing. When you're making decisions now, you're going to be affecting what it is you're able to do in the future. So we have to make sure that we're thinking about scaling so that the decisions the stuff that we put in place, the decisions we make, don't negatively affect our capacity to be able to scale later on. Or better said, in a more positive way, we want to make decisions today that are going to make us able to scale better in the future. Now, keep in mind, this whole time, I want you to make sure that company value is going to be your guiding star in everything you do. Now, you'd be like, oh, I want to have revenue as my guiding star. I want to have profitability as my guiding star. That's great, but those things are all relative to company value. If you have more revenue, if you're more profitable, that means your company is going to be more valuable. The shares that you own in that limited liability corporation that you have either 100% or a portion of those shares, you want that to go up. So everything, whether it's a financial metric that you're going to choose, a performance metric that you're going to choose, a support metric, or some other sort of non-financial thing like your brand reputation or the quality of the relationships that you have and the quantity of relationships that you have, everything gets directed up to this company value. So when you're making decisions about what you're going to do for your company, ask yourself this: is it the best thing I can do to increase the value of my company? Now, when you have performance metrics of all sorts of different types, you'll have these things, check metrics. So if I want to know about my profitability, then obviously I'm going to look at my price cost spread. If I'm going to be working if I'm coding, I'm going to want to know how many lines of code, how many thousands lines of code I can generate in an hour. And then you'll have, sort of other process type specific ways of making sure that you're aligned with the metrics that you're tracking. But the whole message here is that regardless of all the different performance metrics that you're used to, I want you to keep in mind that all of that builds up into the value of your company. And that's really should be your guiding star for when you make your decisions. So we have to prepare a plan to scale early. We call it a scaling master plan. You can call it our strategic plan. It can be whatever. The moral of the story is that you have to plan early so that way you can make decisions later on that allow you to continue to scale. Now, a lot of you are early stage, you've got good traction, you've got an identity that you like to promote into the marketplace, you know who you're servicing, but you probably are struggling to get all your systems in place and deal with uncertainty as you grow into the future. It's good to have a plan about how you're going to scale, what you're going to scale, and be able to implement that as we go. And I'll give you some stuff to work on as we go. So you have to make scaling a priority for your company. Scale growth is definitely going to be the #1 goal for you. When you grow, your costs will be pretty much either the same. Every time you add more, your costs will continue to increase at the same rate, or the cost will outpace your growth of your revenue. So you want to make sure that you're focused on scale growth. So your profitability will go up and the value of your company will go up. Prepare the plan early, understand what you need to do. And one thing that a lot of people that are either new in business or just need a friendly reminder is that the outside world is a much bigger, much more robust. It's got a lot more resources for you to tap into. So the external environment and how you interact with that external environment is much more important than what is happening on the inside. Now, we can have all sorts of debates about the importance of the internal environment. I'm saying it's very important as well, but you have to be able to work with a network of other people to make sure that you survive and that you thrive in your environment. So the external environment is far more important for you when you're thinking about scaling. Another sort of mental tip that you can do as well is thinking of your company as a scaling engine. And what that does is allows everybody inside of your organization to align on what they're doing, because everyone is helping to scale the company and scale the company's value. It ends up making, in the end, the decisions to grow your company a lot easier to do, because when you walk into the cafe or your table or the boardroom, and you're sitting down with your team, you're going to be able to say, okay, how is our decisions? What are we doing today? How is that setting us up to scale in the future? And how is that impacting the value of our company? And it just kind of keeps everybody on the same path. It makes it a lot easier to make, a lot clearer to make your strategic decisions. It reduces the complexity for those discussions. And when you create a system that scales, generally you're going to be implementing technologies that are going to reduce the human inputs for you to be able to create the value for the people that pay you, or the people that enable you to get paid. So when you create these systems that have technology built into them, it enables you to continuously learn from those processes, because you can keep repeating them. So if I keep practicing, I'm going to keep getting better and better and better. When you bring in new employees, some of you don't have any, but I'm sure that you'll be aspiring to do so. When you bring those employees into the fold, it's going to be a lot easier to get them up to speed and get them aligned with the rest of the team, because you've got this plan in place and you've got this idea that our company is just an engine to scale. It's a scaling engine. And then if you ever left, or you stepped aside and you hired somebody to manage your company, so that way you could sip pina coladas in the country of your choice, this mentality of scaling the company value, of viewing your company as a scaling engine, is actually going to be lodged in the company's experience, and everybody else, the culture will be aligned around that. And there's tons of studies that have had that, where the founders leave a company, whether they get fired or they move on amicably, and the company continues to have the same culture long after they leave, 5-10 years after they leave, because what you do early affects what you will be able to do later. So as you, as part of the top management team, how am I doing on time here? I'm trying to rush through this, so I apologize if I'm going a little fast. As the top management team, you must commit to scaling your company. You have to lead. Whether it's you leading yourself, or you leading you and your partner, or you leading a small team, you have to commit to scaling. So when you're advocating, you're in conversations with partners that you're going to be working with, when your team that you've hired, your co-founders that you're working with, you have to continuously advocate for how am I going to scale up what I'm doing? How can I implement technology and repeatability to make sure that I can service my customers and my partners in a more robust and more repeatable, more scalable way? Set those ambitious goals. Don't limit yourself. Set a goal that's really ambitious and then say, man, how do I do that? Because if your first goal is, I need to service 10 customers, you're going to put in place a set of processes and priorities and technologies that will be designed to service 10 customers. But when you want to go from 10 to 1,000, you're going to break, or even 10 to 50, you're going to break. So why don't you say, how do I service 1,000? And I'm going to learn servicing 10 at the beginning, but I'm going to aspire continuously to put in place the processes, the assets, the people, the culture to be able to get to 1,000 customers a month or a year or whatever it may be, depending on the type of company that you're working with. So set those ambitious goals. Don't limit yourself. When you're working with others, convince them to work with you. And when you say that, I mean, convince them to work with you to scale your company. Everything that you do, every interaction should be or could be scalable. Since you have that plan, or you're about to have that plan, align your team and all of the people that you have to work with around the path that you set to scale the company and the company's value, and make sure that everybody moves together. You can't do it alone, and you want to make sure that the whole team is pushing or pulling in the same direction. You want to be able to make better decisions. Better decisions means you're going to be able to move faster, and people are going to respect you more. So develop the ability to learn how to learn from your own experiences and make really well-reasoned decisions and evolve quickly. So that's sort of my perspective on the theory and what scaling is and why it's important for you. Now, I've got a whole bunch of stuff about what drives value, and it's going to be a lot. I'm not going to want to go through all of it with you because each one of these 9 points are a different slide. And so when you guys, I'm going to be sending these slides to them, right, John? Is this, I'm guessing you guys are going to want
yes, afterwards. We'll
if you want them, you can have them. I'll give them to you, okay? It'd be a small fee, but no. There are drivers of value. So there's certain things that the literature, when you think about academic literature here, folks, is that literature is really just humans' wisdom that has been written down, and people then build on top of it. People debate it. They say, well, yes, that's true, but you should also think about this. It's wisdom of our species. And entrepreneurship, that field of study, has been getting stronger and stronger over the last 30, 40 years as an actual discipline, a scientific discipline in the academic literature. So prior to 2017, there were these, and these still hold true, there were these drivers of value that were articulated by some really smart people that are way beyond my own capacity. And they said, hey, look, take a look at 9 different drivers of value that a company can enact. So if you want to increase your company value, you should probably drive it using one of these methods. And so you can increase the the price that customers are willing to pay. So to do that, you can differentiate in a way that is more valuable to them. You can build a stronger brand. Like I pay more for Nikes than I do for Under Armour or some other no-name brand. And you can improve the customer experience. You can increase the volume of products and services. I mean, that's obviously not all that rocket science. But if you increase your market reach, or if you increase the loyalty of customers, so each customer buys more from you and they stay with your company for a lot longer, then that's going to increase the volume of products and services they buy. And you can also bundle products and services together or upsell. Like any restaurant you go to, you want sweet potato fries with that, it's going to be an extra $2, $3, or an extra $8 if you're living in Toronto. You can bundle stuff to continuously get more money out of the customers. The other thing, driver 3, is that you can reduce your costs of operations and production, and obviously you just drive efficiency. You can optimize your supply chain, so coordinating the demand side with the supply side with AI or some sort of automation, and making sure that you embrace technological advancements such as Zoom right now, where we've significantly reduced the cost of being able to get you the type of information you need and the connections that you desire by using something like Zoom to be able to streamline the cost of distance. Now, this is something that those are the easy ones. People sometimes stumble on this one, is increasing the modularity and the degree of complementarity of the organization's resource base. So again, I'm a resource-based view person. And so say, how many resources, how many assets, technologies, people do I have access to for me to be able to combine to be able to make great things happen? So the companies that have gone from $0 of value, company value, to over $1 billion US, these unicorns, these privately owned companies, one of the things they do the best is they foster strategic relationships, for strategic partnerships early on in their life, so that they can increase the access of to more resources. By making your things modular, like say, like this talk, I've extracted this talk from other things, but the concepts are all modular. I can then move them from a talk for you to a talk to people in Nigeria, or people translated into to Chinese when we're dealing with different nations from around the world. So I can take this and move it around. That's modularity. So I have something that works in this environment and I can easily port it over to another. And the complementarity effectively is when I have something, module 1, when I introduce module 2, both of them are actually more valuable together. And I love the analogy of the teapot, the tea cup, and the kettle and tea. They're all individual things that I can buy, but when I combine them together, the amount that all of them are worth goes up because I can make myself a cup of tea. Increase the importance of the company and the network, which it depends. So basically, the more valuable you are to the external network that you are a part of, the more that people will make sure that you survive. And you want to make sure that your company survives. It's not about the quality of your product. It's how much people value the benefits that your product or your service create. A lot of entrepreneurs need to hear that statement many, many times because they're navel gazing and they want to talk about their product, how amazing the features are, and how much they love their solution. And really, nobody cares about your solution at all. What people really care about are the benefits that they get to enjoy as a result of using or consuming your product or service. So remember, it's the benefits you create from the person who pays you. It's that you have to focus on rather than your product or service, as wonderful as that may be. So when you are dealing with a network, if they all gain benefits from working with you, your value, your importance to them goes up significantly. So remember to your survival, they'll make sure to pay you, they'll make sure to give you information, they'll make sure to lend you resources, and make sure that you're actively participating and growing and strengthening that network by going to different industry associations, whether they be online or in person. Finally, second last is you want to make sure you have better decision making. So track your data, utilize insights that are data driven. So collect that data, make sure you have a process for analyzing, have these technologies and these processes, take the time to look at that so that you're making better decisions continuously rather than, licking your finger, putting it up in the air and saying, what way is the wind blowing today? And that's the way I'm going to go. When you have data about how people are behaving rather than what they're saying, that is going to give you a lot better basis to be able to make good decisions. And then make sure when you're as a leader and you're advocating for scaling inside of your company, foster a culture that really critically examines the data that you have access to and your own actions. So that way, and the outcomes of those actions. So that way you're making more rational decisions rather than emotional decisions. You want to increase the amount of privileged information that you get and how available that privileged information is to you. So if you get information, but you have to wait a month to get it, that information is a little bit stale, especially in today's day and age. But if you have information coming into you in real time about, oh, I got to order these things because I just got a request for 500 units, but I only have enough supplies for 200 units, the quicker you know that, if you didn't even have to get in the loop, if you had a machine be able to tell your supplier that I need 300 units worth of supplies without you having to be in the loop, that's real time, that's instantaneous. So the faster you get information, the more information you get, and the higher quality that information is, the better decisions you'll be able to make. So you can implement, these data collection systems, and you can enhance your market intelligence capabilities as well. These are just a few examples of how to do that. Okay, last one is that you can increase the amount of integration your internal groups have and your external groups have. So what does that mean? Well, if you eventually start building teams, you've got marketing, you've got sales, you've got R&D, you've got customer service, you've got all these different parts of your company. And I know you guys are small at this stage, so you're doing it all. You have to wear all those hats. You want to be able to make sure that you're coordinating and collaborating across the different hats that you wear, or you and your partner or your multiple partners wear. So foster a culture of collaboration and knowledge sharing as you grow as a team. And again, foster those strategic partnerships with external groups, so you're also collaborating, you're also knowledge sharing, and working together as you move forward in being able to scale value. Now, there's a whole bunch of different types of value, and the moral of the story here is that when you do an intervention, and an intervention is a set of activities that you're going to undertake to try to enact change for your company, that change, the results of the intervention, is going to create value. At least that's how you're going to try to do it. And the value can come in different flavors. And in the slides, I've given you an explainer for all these different flavors of value. The final piece in this section here is what we have done. So we were in Nigeria in 2018 and 2019. We went to India in 2019. And we really got into this whole idea of, we had done a research project in 2017, 2018, and early 2019. And then we transitioned in understanding, okay, what is it that companies do to be able to scale their value early, rapidly, and securely? And through examining a bunch of different companies, we came up with a bunch of statements. And those statements then we did something called topic modeling. It's text analytics. And we were able to create these different topics. So we said to ourselves, if a company is going to be able to scale its value rapidly, you have to be able to balance and prioritize these 7 different topics. And so the definition of these different topics are here. We've got, you need to be able to understand where your company is going to go, the vision that you desire, and a plan, a series of steps to be able to get there. So that's your scale path, which is the activities, the interventions that the company takes to increase its value. Then there's the idea of company value, so being able to measure it, being able to express it. Your customer value proposition, I believe you guys talked about that yesterday, right, John? You guys did that or last session. And customer value proposition is extremely important concept for you to continuously work on and express. And again, it is always framed from the benefits, the unique benefits that your company produces for your client. It's not I would even offer that it's not your products or services that what the products and services create for your client. It is what your company creates for your client. Because really you want to have a relationship with your company rather than the relationship being with your product. And why is that? Well, you can switch from charging by the hour to charging more of a subscription to your company. So subscription pricing and hourly pricing is a debate, and really subscription pricing is more powerful, and that's a separate discussion. But anybody that is charging by the hour right now, and I think there's a few of you sort of doing coaching and stuff like that, you may want to consider researching a little bit more on subscription-based pricing rather than hourly-based pricing, and adjust yourselves accordingly. The resources that you have access to be able to create value, so you have to be able to access them, manage them, improve them, and at some cases, drop them because they are actually getting in the way of your advancement. You have to manage the different stakeholders that you're involved with, and then you have to make sure you align what's going on inside your company as well as what's happening outside your company. Things like policy changes, social changes, technological changes, and so forth. My last piece here on sort of more conceptual stuff about growing or scaling your value is that, and this is an example from teaching, is that when we introduce artificial intelligence into a relationship, there is a profound a paradigm shift that takes place. And I'll explain this from my perspective, and we can adapt it to yours if you like. When we have the old view, and AI is now everywhere, so the old view no longer exists, but many of us still operate in that. The old view is that the teacher speaks and the student listens. I tell you what you need to know, and you listen to me and you do what I say. That's kind of the old way. One person speaks, many people listen. Now with AI changes the paradigm. AI actually knows more than the student and the instructor does, because the instructor is talking to the AI, the students are talking, all of the students are talking to the AI, and the AI is plugged into knowledge that's outside of those two groups. So the artificial intelligence is actually a third stakeholder in the relationship. And it is moderating my relationship with my students. So instead of me dictating and lecturing and saying, okay, you just got to now regurgitate the information that I've given you, which probably most of us went through when we were going through school. Now, my role is more of a coach. I'm going to coach them through the concepts that they're working on, answer their questions, and work with them and the artificial intelligence to be able to get them to discuss with their peers in a more collaborative way, and their peers and them are going to interact with the AI as well. So instead of having the professor and the student, now it is a bunch of peers, a peer group, a social learning environment with the AI tools and a mentor or a coach that's going to be working with them. They're going to interact more, they're going to create new things, they're going to organize themselves and share knowledge in real time amongst themselves. So it's a real difference. So if we were going to talk about, and we should talk about it in the Q&A, about how artificial intelligence can change your relationship with your customer, picture you as the professor and the students as being the customer. How will AI change the relationship between the two of you and make sure that it's being improved for the better? So what I can do here is maybe ask some questions if you'd like. Well, let me finish this last section and then we can go into it. I'm a little bit over time, but I think that we're still on track. We have to create a scaling master plan early. That means you have to map out where you are today and where you want to be in the future. Because like an Uber ride, I need to know where I'm picking you up and I need to know where I'm dropping you off. You have to have the 2 points for me to be able to say, this is where I am, this is where I'm going, and how am I going to get there? The map, Google Maps or whatever is going to get you the path. Now, that sort of future image of your company, whether it be 3 years from now, I wouldn't do any more than 5. 5 is a bit of a stretch. It's hard to really think that far out. My recommendation would be to do 3. Then you're going to say, okay, what are the steps? What are the growth, the resource-based sort of capabilities that I need to have in place as I go from where I am now to be able to eventually get to my future version of my company. So we got to create it early. We have to have a plan. We have to know where we are now and in the future to be able to create that plan. What I would like to do with you is I would like to be able to give you an activity. Now, I haven't actually tried this with this particular application, so this would be fun. I want you guys to use ChatGPT to be able to help yourselves, and then we can coach you through this, just like I told you before. Now, I can't see everybody. I can only see John, myself, Amin, and Nick, or Nicholas, but what I want to know, just a sort of a quick, is there anybody that doesn't use ChatGPT right now that would not be able to follow along in this activity? I just want to make sure there's no barriers to you participating. And if not, we're already, okay, good. Callan's already using ChatGPT in the business already. That's fantastic. Is there anybody that can't follow along? I'm going to take this as a no. Okay. Good. All right. Let's do this. And I hope that you guys aren't taking a nap and you're you're paying attention. So this is what the activity is going to do. Okay. So let's we'll do the expectations first, and then I'll give you the instructions. We're going to do sort of a 3 steps, and then you're going to have to reflect on what you've done. Number 1, we want to make sure that we generate ideas. So we're going to get ChatGPT to ask you a series of questions. And then based on the answers that you give the machine, it's going to respond to you with business opportunities for your particular company for you to be able to scale your business. Then you're going to use a few little fun techniques to get ChatGPT to actually evaluate the ideas that you have given it, or it has generated with you, given the information that you've done. So you're going to select one of the ideas you like, and you're going to get it to evaluate it. Fantastically cool. Then we're going to actually get it to provide a detailed analysis of the one that you like the most, and get it to use something called a 5C analysis to be able to create a presentation of that. So if you are here and your partner's not, or you need to go to your parents, or you've got advisors in your life, or, hopefully you all have advisors, then you'll be able to take your idea to be able to scale your company and get feedback from other people, because, you and the machine, even as great as the machine is and as great as you are, you're only going to have certain perspectives. So you want to bounce the idea off multiple people and get feedback. We all okay with the expectations? Yeah. All right. I see a couple of half head nods. All right. After we do for steps 1 to 3, you got to evaluate it. Okay. Now I got to change this because this was about potential business ideas before. Now we're going to have about scaling opportunities. You'll see the language change. I forgot to change that part of the slide. But basically, did you successfully generate something that you can use? Did you evaluate the ideas that, is it aligned with your organization? Have you chosen a good one for you to analyze, and did you present it? So these are good things for you to take a look at, and basically repeat the story, or repeat the steps if you don't like the results. Remember, it's a machine. You can just keep doing it over and over and over again, and can learn. Okay, so let's open ChatGPT. And what I'd love to do, okay, Russell, you're going to be my guinea pig. can you come online? Can we talk? And I'm going to do ChatGPT on your behalf, and then I can email you the result after. Would that be
Yes,
okay with you, Russell?
sure.
Fantastic. All right. Because I don't know if this is going to work. It worked for a different use case. We're adapting this to this group. So I'm going to switch my screen, and I'll copy the text that I'm going to talk to you guys about and put it in the chat, so you can copy it and you can dump it into the ChatGPT yourself. Okay.
I have a quick question. Sorry, I've never used ChatGPT. Do I just go to Google and pick the first thing that pops up, or how does that work? Yeah,
Okay. So, good question. So, what I'd like to do for you quickly, David, and I hope, John, I hope this is okay that I'm, I know you want to do a Q&A, but is it okay that we do this?
This is something new that I don't think everyone has tried. So let's see where it takes us.
Let's rock and roll. All right.
If that's okay with everyone, just give us a thumbs up.
All right. And if you guys want to talk to me about the content, you want to talk to me about what did you actually mean when you said this, 100% okay. I know I slapped you with a whole bunch of concepts in a very short period of time. So I apologize. Oh no, I don't apologize. I will address those questions when you guys are ready for it. So, David, in the chat, Amin has dropped in a link. You're going to have to sign up.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll be able to get access to ChatGPT. It's really easy to do. I think you have to give it your email and your phone number, and then verify that your phone number is actually yours.
Yeah, I'm doing all that now.
Perfect.
Puzzle. Okay.
And so if anybody wants to kind of have like 2 minutes or 3 minutes to have a water break, get up, stretch, that sort of thing, we'll give David a couple minutes to get signed up, and we'll go from there. Good.
I've proven that I'm a human, apparently, so that's
that's a good start. I think technically we're all kind of cyborgs, because we all have, a smartphone and we're reliant on it. Like, we can't go to any room without having our phone with us. So we're kind of part machine now. Plus all those chips that they put into us with those vaccines.
Oh gosh.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Okay, I'm just kidding.
I worry about our hands actually as we age, and like our hands are going to be like just in the shape of a phone.
We're all going to have the hump like this, because we're always looking down at our phone. We're all going to have these giant humpbacks.
See, Russell, I'm just waiting for someone to do the whole matrix implant, so that you don't have to use your hands at all. You just think about what you need to do, and then go for it. So I'm not worried about my hands here.
Now, if you guys ever are interested in crazy talks about AI and where it actually is and where it's going, shoot me. I have my email at the end of this talk, or connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm not a thought leader in any of this or anything like that, but I'm thinking about doing a talk soon about this, because John, they are on it, and you don't even they've got AI now that can basically listen to your thoughts and be able to say what you're looking at, and reproduce it both in writing and visually. So because the crazy thing here, guys, is artificial intelligence, the way that ChatGPT works, and the breakthrough that they had in 2017 that allowed it to come about, is this thing. It's the T in the the ChatGPT. It's the transformer, and it was a new technology that came out, and basically it allowed everything to be turned into language, whether it is pixels, like for an image, or words, or sounds, or Wi-Fi signals bouncing around inside of a room. Everything can be translated into a language, or the brain signals in your head. And if you can translate everything into a language, that means that you can speak that language. Eventually, you can train a machine to speak that language. So there's these initiatives to start speaking to whales. But they have these ethical concerns about how do we actually speak to the whales without freaking them out, because we can actually use the machine to know what they're saying and be able to speak back to them. So it's a fun and bizarre world that we're going to have to manage very well, way better than we did with social media. David, how you doing over there?
I'm all logged in. Ready to do this.
Ready to do it. All right, good.
Computer.
So what we are going to do is we're going to step one. Now I didn't, let me put these little things in things. Step one, you're going to basically prompt ChatGPT to help you generate a business idea about how to scale your company. So I'm going to put an example in here. Say, I'm doing multiple things here. To everyone, here's the prompt I want you to try using. From now on, ask me questions to generate potential opportunities for me to scale my company. Ask one question at a time. When you have enough information, describe at least 5 potential opportunities. Now, this is kind of all the other steps are going to work. This is the critical one, whether or not it's going to work. So where's Russell?
Here.
All right, in the ether. There you are. All right, Russell, I'm hitting enter. Let's see what it says. So what industry does your company operate in, Russell?
Management consulting.
Company.
Or I guess industry, it's construction, but services, it's management consulting.
Management consulting service for the construction industry. 2, what products or services does your company offer?
My life. Training programs, individual workshops, people and culture strategies, retaining staff, and then marketing and business development support.
Marketing and business development support, you said?
Yeah.
Did I miss anything here? I think I missed one.
That's good for now.
Culture training or something like that.
People and culture advisory.
Okay. Quick tip here, David. When I am going to do a line break, you hold shift and then hit enter.
Okay.
Okay. If you hit enter, it'll send it and the machine will do its stuff. Okay.
Yep, got it.
All right. Who is your target audience or customer base, Russell?
Small to medium privately owned businesses, largely owner-led, architecture, consulting, engineering, interior design firms.
Small owner-led firms.
Architecture, consulting, engineering, and interior design.
Architecture, interior design. What was the second one?
Consulting, engineering. Almost 4 years.
What geographical locations does your company serve?
I'm debating if you want to say Canada or Toronto. It's largely Toronto and London, England.
Area. And let's see, I'm done. Is that what you said, in London, England?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's see what happens. It may probably ask us more questions here. Okay, no, it's going to give us some suggestions. Now, before I go to step 2, all right, let's see 5 examples, 5 potential opportunities for you to scale your business. Russell, we can expand your geographical reach. We can we can leverage technology to offer your training programs and workshops online. Have an online platform that people can access your educational materials, participate in virtual workshops, so more digitizing your training. We can increase your strategic partnerships with industry associations. So that will basically be able to increase your network, which will be able to sort of do word of mouth and services chat channels to get you more customers for lower cost. So forge partnerships with industry, collaborate with these entities. Okay. Customize consulting packages and thought leadership and content marketing. Okay. We'll see. Now, again, this is the first time I've done, so I may have to tweak the original prompt, but let us. Now, I know you guys are probably not doing this as fast as we are, but let me just keep going. And I'm going to put the second prompt in here. How many minutes do you guys think that you would need if you if I waited?
Hey Eduardo. So we actually have till 2:30 booked off. So feel free to use as much time as needed.
Perfect. So for the participants, thank you. Peru, thank you for that. For everybody else here, Kim's ready to go. Fantastic, Kim. Well done. Anybody else ready to go? Yeah, Jeremy is, Amin is, Nicholas is. Fantastic. All right, here we go. Stevie is good. Excellent group. Here's the next prompt. Utilize the Scamper technique tools and rank 5 ideas based on these 5 ideas. Sorry, there's a spelling typo there. Make sure that you are grammatically correct because ChatGPT does like that. Utilize the Scamper, rank these 5 ideas based on the size of the opportunity and its complexity. And then I want you to give use a 2x2 matrix. Now, if you don't know anything about academics, we love 2x2 matrices. And what is a 2x2 matrix? You basically say high, low for 2 different things. And we're saying, okay, is it high opportunity or low opportunity or big opportunity, small opportunity? And the other part was complexity. Is it really complex or not so complex? So what we're going to do is get the machine to make an evaluation of both the opportunity and the complexity. And then now I don't have the pro version of ChatGPT. I should probably step my game up and buy that. But it would be able to, if you had the pro version, you'd be able to use a plugin. It would automatically use the right plugin and give you this. But this will work for our own purposes. I'm glad that you guys are enjoying it. All right. So what we want to do next is, so we want to look through this, obviously. Russell, where are you at again? You keep disappearing on me here.
I was having my sandwich, but I'm here.
You having your sandwich, all right. All right, so Scamper is a technique. You guys can Google it. Basically, it says it's a substitute, combine, adapt, modify, put to another use. It's a good brainstorming activity you can do in a team, and it's actually going to do that for you. And then based on that Scamper analysis, it's actually creating the matrix, which is pretty fascinating that it's able to do that. It doesn't have to tell you it, it's just done it and then gone ahead and ranked your stuff. So cool. Let's go to the next one. So what we have to do as a team or individually is choose one of the 5 for us to be able to do a detailed analysis. And we're going to ask ChatGPT to do the following. We're going to ask it to consider the matrix above. And we wanted to prioritize, the objective is the prioritization exercise to uncover those initiatives that promise to deliver the most value with the least effort. You have to enter, I put in square brackets there, the opportunity that you like the most, so the one you've selected. And then you're asking the thing to build a one-page slide, one-page slide, it's probably not the right way of saying it, to present the idea and explain why you believe it is the most valuable opportunity. So let's get this thing to give you a pitch. Russell, we have to choose. Based on our matrix, we've got high, medium. So opportunity is high for your online training and workshops, and the complexity is low. You may say, you know what, Eduardo, I've already done that, so I don't need to. But it has ranked basically your stuff. So based on our little breakup here, which of the 5 would you like me to tell the machine to prioritize?
The online part, online training.
Online training workshop. So these little square brackets here, we're going to get rid of that. And we're going to say online training and workshops is chosen. So I'm telling it to focus itself on that particular opportunity. And let's see what it does.
Oh my heavens.
So if you need to convince yourself, or you need to convince people that you're going to work with, that would be the beginning, not the end result, the beginning of your pitch. Remember, what you get from ChatGPT is just a prediction model for you. It has the ability to keep in its mind a million variables. Like, it's crazy what it can do. But in the end, you have to use your human judgment to make sure that this makes sense and that it's aligned with what you want to do. But let's take a look at what it has to say here. So if you were going to do a presentation about how you're going to scale your company, so you're going to briefly introduce your company, you're going to have an overview, your online training workshops is a valuable opportunity for scaling company, present the high potential of reaching a wider audience and overcoming geographical limitations, highlight the scalability and cost effectiveness of delivering training programs online. Then you can go through the benefits. You've got to increase reach, flexibility and convenience, cost effectiveness, and you're able to engage your audience in a way that you would not be able to if you only did in-person training. Then it tells you about how you're actually going to implement doing this in 4 nice and easy steps. Obviously, they're very general. We would have to drill down into each one, and that provides you a slide saying these are the 3 points that you should remember about this proposal. So it's not an answer to all of your problems, but it's a nice little start. So Russell, what do you have on your mind? When you see this, what questions would you have for me, the human, to be able to help you interpret this or make use of it?
So what's top of mind is, like, I'm not a tech person. That's why I do my trainings. So that's fine. But if a lot of people are using ChatGPT or whatever have you to shape or kind of form a foundation for their future plan, I feel like there's also something to be said. The herd is moving that way. So where are people not going? And then you could be a sole player, or have less competition when everyone's doing kind of what's top recommended by ChatGPT.
You could look at it like that. I like the fact that you're looking to zag when everyone else is zigging. The machine will produce different recommendations depending on the inputs you provide it. When you don't have access to John, when you don't have access to Prue, when you don't have access to Eduardo, and you need to get good advice about a starting point about how you're going to scale your company, the machine is a nice 24/7 available guide if you know how to prompt it correctly. I would advise you not to go zag when everyone else is zigging when it comes to using large language model technology such as this.
I shouldn't go against the intelligence of the world. No.
Right. It's like, I'm going to stick with horses when everyone else is going to go to the automobile. Right? Like, cool, but like most of those horses now became glue. You know, like you want to make sure that you're keeping up with innovation. Otherwise, you may kind of penalize yourself. And somebody who does use technology to their advantage is going to outcompete you and put you out of business. So make sure that you're leveraging technology in a way that's going to support the value that you can create for your clients and the other stakeholders that you depend upon. Okay, and that includes your personal life, you and your, partner, or if you have one, or your, whatever, you have to make sure that you are leveraging technology so that maybe you can step away from the company for a 7-day period and go on vacation, and your company is still generating money for you, rather than you having to trade your life energy for every dollar that you make, right? If the machine can help you automate and continuously generate money for you, then you don't have to be there every day saying, here, take my blood, and one day I won't be able to work, so I won't make any money that day, right? You want to continuously make money for yourself, so put together the systems that allow you to do that. So my argument for you to pay attention to what the machine is telling you here is that if you had your training sessions digitized, then people would be able to take those sessions when you, in Australia, when you're asleep, right? You'll be able to target other languages, you'll be able to get new analytics and what people are actually clicking on, what they care about, what are they asking about. So I know that you're not a tech guy.
Oh, I wasn't dismissing the value of it. That was just top of mind.
Okay.
Everyone's moving, like there would be a role on that end. On this piece, I forget what the top recommendation was. Online?
Yeah, so basically, this is a pitch about why you should transfer your in-person stuff and start developing your capabilities to do online training. So I'm going to quickly switch my slides back here, guys, folks, just so I catch you here. When you're looking at the future and you're at today, you're going to say, my next building block that I'm going to build is my capacity to be able to do training online. That's my next block. And then you're going to say, okay, my next one after that is your associations, the number of the size of the network you have access to, the one of the other ones that was recommended for you. So you can actually put a plan together and saying, okay, in 3 months' time, in 6 months' time, I'm going to have the training platform that's going to be able to do these things for my clients, because I know those are the most high value items. And then that's going to enable me to do something else. I'm going to be able to hire somebody that's going to make it so I don't have to do everything all the time, only me. I can bring in somebody like an executive assistant, or somebody who's going to be handling sales or customer service or the engineering side of things and doing the technical stuff. So you'll be able to then have a plan about how you're going to grow out your business over time. Okay, but you have to know where you're going So that way you can say, I'm going to build a path to get there. If you only think about where you are now and the next step, you'll be kind of all over the place. By having an image of where you want your company to be in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years from now, that allows you to be able to say, what am I going to do now to be able to get to that future? Which takes some soul searching and stuff like that. We can have that conversation another time, but that's it's good to have that sort of in your head. Okay, cool exercise. And I will, Russell, unless you want to do it on your own, you can repeat it, but I can send you the results of this if you want me to as well. The stuff that I have in the chat.
Oh, thank you. No, I found out my access, so I can try it. Yeah, thank you.
Good. You're welcome.
I have a question. When I copy and pasted the initial thing to ask the machine, I didn't get the same response that you did. Like, it was not working the same way.
Nope.
Even though it was the exact same question, copy and pasted. Is that normal or?
Yep. It's a prediction model, right? So it predicts what next word should be there. And sometimes it generates, like, you could click regenerate. If I went back into the machine, it would ruin the entire conversation. John, you were going to answer there, so maybe as I'm doing this, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to make a quick observation, because so when Eduardo put his stuff in, five questions came up at the same time, whereas for mine, one came up at a time. So I think each one is going to be slightly different depending on how you put it in, and that will change. That also changes, I guess, the algorithm and what they put in, what they're analyzing at that particular moment.
Okay.
And I could also switch the order of the prompt. So I am asking it, I could give it a role, first of all, if I wanted to. You're an expert strategic consultant or something like that. So you assign it a role, and then you give it the context, and then you give it a task. So I could say, instead of leaving everything the same, all the words the same, I could say, ask one question at a time at the end rather than in the middle. And it could change the way that it interacts with me, right? I was hoping it would ask me one question at a time. It's a lot of fun when it does. But because what it'll actually do when I find it ask one question at a time and it does it, it will actually use the answers that I've given it to change the next question that I get. Rather than give me all 5, it'll actually learn what I'm saying, and then it will change the responses. That's why it says one question at a time, because the one question at a time is actually more powerful than asking all of them at the same time. Amen.
And I think that's one of the challenges for a lot of folks, just to get used to minor changes in the question that you ask will bring out very different results. So if, as you're thinking about your business, are you thinking about a particular problem in your business that you're trying to address? Think of it in more than one way. And when you ask it, don't make sure that you're asking a direct question and not something that requires inference. Like, if you ask a question that is something that 2 or 3 people may hear it and think something completely differently, that may confuse or change what kind of stuff you get out from the questions that you're posing. Sorry.
One thing also, Russell, John, is well, maybe we should just you could have an entire session on just ChatGPT and how to leverage the tools and stuff like that, right? A little bit off topic of what I wanted to tell you guys about today, which was, how do I scale my company? What does that actually mean? And how do I have a scaling mindset in what I do in my business? Amin, go for it.
Yeah, I was just going to quickly say, like, doesn't it build a relationship with you the more that you use it? Like, I've been strictly talking about like my business on it and some other stuff, but it's like it knows me. Like, it's been fun to, like, I've been doing it for a couple of months now before like the whole hype came, and I'm like, this is the answers that it gave me on mine was literally something like all of the ideas were something that was in my brain.
Would you mind sharing some of them?
Oh yeah, sure. 1 second. Sorry. Okay, where is it? Okay, some of them were, oh my God, sorry. getting a call. It's a telemarketer. Shoot. So idea one was like launch a limited edition collaboration with a popular music artist. And that it said low on that one. So I kind of, that one made sense. The next one was Can you guys hear this ringtone or no?
No.
Oh, good, because it's interrupted me like 6 times already. But anyways, the second one was implement AI virtual try-on feature on the e-commerce website. That's the one I chose because that's the one I really want to do. I want to get into digital fashion. The other one was idea 3 was organize a pop-up shop with major cities in Canada and Toronto. It said low. I've done that before. It's not something I want to do. The next one is develop a subscription box service. I was thinking about that. The last one was design an online platform blog that's dedicated to mental health recovery and featuring stories and collaborations about fashion. And I'm like, you're in my brain. It's so like I'm gonna just keep doing the same prompt and figure out the one pager for all of those basically, except like 2 of them. But even actually no, I'm gonna do it for all 5, and I'm gonna see if there was anything wrong that I was doing when I was doing pop-ups or any of that jazz. But yeah, it's quite scary because I'm like, you know, when you're about to do something but you just kind of don't know where you're going. So I was like, you know what, okay, so AI, I did the little sheet, and then afterwards I asked a question and I was like, so what AI type of program can I use to try on in websites for clothing? And then it gave me like 5 of them. And I was like, I know none of them, but I will go ahead and do research and figure it out because I love using this. So like, I'm totally the person that will be there on that talk, wherever you want, I'll be there. I love this stuff. So,
All right, great. Oh, and I love the feedback and the energy on it. I think that the nice thing about adding this part at the end of this is that it gives you something tangible you can do by yourself, and you can do it now. You don't have to wait for anybody. You can just go and do it, and you have an idea in your head. You can use these tools to be able to help you. You don't need a guy like John. You don't need a guy like me who, you're like, hey, are you available in a couple of weeks where we can maybe have like a 30-minute conversation, but with the thoughts I had in my head? No, you just go and do it, right? And then that way, you guys, it's about your speed, your ability to rapidly evolve your business as quickly as possible with the best type of decision-making that you possibly can. So I'm glad that you find it useful. And if you have other questions or you come up with cool other prompts, send me an email. I love it. The hardest part is to start. And I find that having a white piece of paper, like a blank sheet in front of me, is so difficult. But if you can use the machine to give you at least that sort of 60%, right? Maybe 50% even, at least gives you something to be like, well, that's wrong, but I can improve it. I can think about that. I can use my brain because I am an entrepreneur. I am an expert in my field. I know what I want to do. So let's go and make it happen. Okay. So thank you. And I hope you guys enjoyed the talk. If you want to get in touch with me, I have my Carlton email, I have my business email, and you can connect with me on LinkedIn as well. Again, my name is Eduardo Bailetti. It's been my pleasure to be here with you. And I've got 7 more minutes left pretty much. So if you guys have any additional questions about some of the stuff I talked about that wasn't ChatGPT, there was like 40 slides that I showed you, you know, certainly this is your time. This is your moment.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Russell. Thanks for being my my partner here, my collaborator.